see, with the Idol makers were, I guess they predated Puffy's crew. I forgot what they were called. Um,
Squad?
Say that again.
Puffy's Hit Squad, you mean?
Right, right. So what happens? What would happen? This is with all the groups: Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play. The Invincibles were Steve, Herbie's brother. This guy they used to call Dana Dumb. This guy Prince, Kwame, and a few other guys. And they just used to be in, Herbie had his at his parents' house. He converted the garage into a studio, full blown studio. So everybody used to do their pre production work there. And there's just a bunch of guys in there that handed in tracks. Oh, here's I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this, and you listen and you pick. So when I initially got there, Steve was the first person that I worked with. Shout out Stevie O. And he would give you work with you and do like 4 or 5 songs, and you pick the however many you want. Then you go in with Kwame and you do a certain amount of songs, and you pick what you with whatever you like. Then you did that with Dana Dumb. He do some tracks, you do some songs, you pick the ones that you like. So that's how that whole process went. And then Herbie will come in and put the song together. Like these guys did the beats, but Herbie produced the song. See, that's the difference. A lot of people don't know the difference between a beat maker and a producer. Just because you made the beat don't mean you produced the song. You don't go over the vocals and the hooks and all that. Oh, excuse me, and everything. So that's what Herbie did. That's what Herbie ear was. He would go in there and put your ideas together so it'd be a song format.
Yeah, it's a big difference, and I think people lose sight of that. But then on the flip side of that, those beat makers often don't get credit as songwriters. so,
Right.
so
If you look at Thriller, Michael Jackson wrote the majority of the song, but it's produced by Quincy Jones.
right,
So just because you wrote the music and wrote the lyrics, don't mean you produced the record. Somebody has to come in and focus all those ideas into a song format, and that's what we end up hearing on the radio. So that's what Herbie did. That was Herbie's talent. Even though he did make beats as well. Don't get me wrong. He did submit beats to everybody as well.
yeah. Well, a couple of my favorites on the Joe Cool album were "Rock with Joeski." That's one of my super favorite songs on there. And the one thing I liked about it is with Pee Wee's Dance, Say Joe, My Girl, the earlier songs. That one is a lot faster, and I think it also shows more of your like wordplay. I think, or sonically, it's faster. It feels faster. And then
It
like
is. Steve produced that. Stevie O produced that particular song.
and then the flow on there is a lot faster, more intricate, and I think displays a high level of lyricism, especially on the first verse. And then I loved it how you were talking about all the Joes that you weren't, like G.I. Joe or Joe Piscopo or all these things. So like
Right.
lyrically, do you remember that beat doing anything to you differently as a writer or as a conceptually?
No, because you wouldn't know it from Pee Wee, but I was always pretty decent with my pen, and so Pee Wee was me dumbing it down. So was My Girl and Say Joe. Actually, I was dumbing down my rhyming skills. I'm not saying that I'm Rakim, but I'm not a lot of other people either. So and it's funny because going back to Dana, I had demoed a song called Run Joe, which was based on the Chuck Brown song, the
Chuck Brown,
Go-Go song.
Soul Searchers, yeah.
Yeah, so I wrote a story, and I don't know how Dana got a copy of it, but one day he comes in the studio and goes, "Yo, you're really talented." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I heard that Run Joe record you demoed, and that was pretty good." And I was flattered because especially from storytelling, because Dana's like, if Slick Rick is one, Dana's 1A when it comes to storytelling. So I was very flattered that he said that.
Yeah, with a Run Joe. I'm from Maryland, so I grew up listening to a lot of go-go. So
Okay, yeah,
the
Chuck
police,
Brown.
the policeman got to go.
Funny story. We were on tour, and we did a DC date, and Chuck Brown did the spot date. So it was called the Fresh Fest 3. Fat Boys, Full Force, everybody I named earlier. And even though even though I only had one song, I was kind of the co-headliner with the Fat Boys because how big Pee Wee was at the time. So I would go on every night. I go on right before the Fat Boys. This particular night, the promoter tells me, and I knew about Go-Go, I knew who Chuck Brown was, but I didn't really know the impact. So this night, the promoter asks me to go on before Chuck, and I'm a 17-year-old kid. My ego's like, get the hell out of here, Chuck. Who the hell is this old guy? Chuck Brown hit the stage, but I eventually did it. Chuck Brown came on after me and hit the stage, and I was like, oh my god, the freaking arena went crazy. I was like, thank God I went on before this dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever did a show at the Capitol Center.
I think that's where we were.
Okay, because I never saw Chuck Brown there, but I saw like Rare Essence.
Rare Essence.
Who else did I see there? Trouble Funk. I saw a lot of people there, but it was always funny because that story you said, I saw it happen with a rapper that was big at the time, and I could tell he was upset because he didn't understand why the audience was clapping so hard when he was leaving. He thought they were giving him an ovation. But what he didn't realize was Rare Essence was about to come on, and that's what the crowd was really there for. And it was like that place, as you may recall, I mean, it had like 18,000 people. So it was huge.
Like I said, Chuck Brown came on, and I think he did Run Joe first. And that beat came up, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, and everybody just got up, and they were all, and I'm sitting around. And the funny thing was when I think this is before the video, so nobody really knew what I looked like. So I was able to maneuver around in stadiums without anybody bothering me. So I just happened to go into the crowd. I changed my clothes and went into the crowd to watch the show. And I was sitting in amazement, like, whoa, this dude is, it was remarkable. I was like, whoa, I'm so glad I didn't go after this guy.
Well, I always tell people that I was very fortunate to grow up where I grew up because I got to see a lot of early rap shows, not early, but early when they would come to Maryland. And then I got to see like the golden era of go-go too, with like Rare Essence, Hot Cold Sweat, Trouble Funk, Chuck Brown, Junkyard Band, all these groups that I got to see, almost all of them in person as a kid. And I got to see most of them with rappers too. So it was like a 2-for-1 for me. It was a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But people also, they don't, like you said, didn't understand it unless you saw it. And that was the crazy thing about it.
That was the first time I saw it, and I never forgot that. I actually did with Trouble Funk at the Apollo.
Oh, right.
One of my first shows. Me, Curtis Blow, Bernard Wright, and Trouble Funk.
Wow. How was Trouble Funk received at the time?
Not as well as Chuck Brown was in D.C.
Well, I figured.
I mean, people here only knew Drop the Bomb.
Right.
They weren't really familiar here. Go-Go didn't really blow up in New York. There's a couple of songs like Bustin' Loose, like I said, Drop the Bomb. Those songs people knew, but they didn't really know.
Was Sardines big in New York?
I don't recall, but I remember I loved it. I bought the single.
There you go.
I definitely bought the single.
All right. Well, back to Joe Cool. The title track is one of my other favorite songs, and Kwame's on there and everything.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people don't understand or appreciate Kwame's level of genius as a songwriter, producer, music guy.
Kwame is exactly what you just said, a musical genius. He is still making money and making hit records to this day. Vivian Green, he's done Lloyd Banks, LL, Mary J. Blige. I mean, he's done a lot of hit records that people don't know it was him because he changed his name. Because I don't think and I'm not, I guess I can't speak for him, but I'm assuming he didn't think people would take him serious as a producer under Kwame.
Well, I know Kwame, and I've interviewed him, and we've talked about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
they were telling him he had to change his name. So he's like, all right, cool.
So he
But
changed his name to KW1 or something crazy like that,
yeah,
and he just been cranking out hits ever since. And a lot of people, I think he did. I'm on Fire by Lord Banks, as a matter of fact.
yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, so he's been killing it. Vivian Green, the resurgence of her career, he's been doing an amazing job with her. And
He did
people don't know that who?
Tweet, the Turn Off the Lights by Tweet.
Right, he did Tweet. He wrote on Poison. People don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think he wrote Michael Bivins' verse on Poison. So Kwame has been killing him. Kwame is a very talented young man. Proud to call him my little brother. What's up, Kwame? Shout out to Kwame.
So when you did the Joe Cool song, what do you remember about him that was different from the rest of the Invincibles crew?
Kwame plays instruments, and I was very shocked how talented he was. Like, very shocked. I didn't know him as well as I knew the rest of the people signed to Idolmakers and stuff like that, because he was younger and he came after everybody. I met Salt-N-Pepa, Dane, Kid and Play, all of those guys early on. So I really didn't know Kwame as well as I knew the rest of them. So I think even I underestimated him walking into the session. But after the session, I wasn't, that's for sure. I was like, wow, this guy is really talented.
Well, there it is. All right. Well, hopefully we'll get to have you come back and do another part. I know you got to go, but yeah, man, Joeski, love. Thank you for coming through the Unique Access, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, brother.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.